Alright, this is kind of a dry run for the kind of stuff we may be doing soon. Of course, get better equipment, things like that. And actually, for the September 4th doubleheaders, I really want my son's video to be kind of the main event here, but I want to talk a little bit about Last Call and the Tonight in This Very Ring show with Matt Sells. So, just glancing at my notes here, I want to say one of my biggest takeaways from this show was the fact that I went from being curious about Nolan Edward, having seen him before, to being fully invested. Dude had what, for me personally, not that he wasn't a star before this, but for me, where I just had one of those moments where, like, oh, that's my dude right there. He had a great night, great night. Try to keep this kind of spoiler free right now. Like to circle back around to this when when the shows drop on IWTV. Bobby Flacco continues to impress. Although, I mean, if you saw the interview the other day, he's a local guy, so I'm biased for him. I want to see him do well, but I think even if you say that he's a SouthAtlantaWrestling.com favorite, I think he lives up to the kind of hype we put on him. I've reached out to some folks privately before, said, hey, what do you think about Flacco? And gotten a lot of good, positive comments about that. So, anyways, so you look at the Corn Belt Cowboy, Manders, a guy I'm a huge fan of. You'll notice I've made the joke several times on Twitter, I stand for Manders. So when you watch, this is not a spoiler, obviously, but if you watch, we always stand up when Manders makes his appearance, when you hear the Wanted Dead or Alive. So I thought he had a really good night. My son, I don't want to steal any of his thunder, but my son was really impressed with some of the stuff he saw out of him. And he has been since he's first seen Manders. By the way, that's me and the bride right there over my shoulder. Eric Royal, despite the kids behind me calling him a clown repeatedly, the ace god, always delivers. Always delivers. So good to see him. So then I was really curious. Oh, I'm sorry. I almost moved on to the Tonight Show and left out the champ. So the champ, again, I'm trying not to spoil how this went for you, but champ had himself an interesting night. And, AC Mac's a guy I've been high on since he was one of those talents that you hear about. And, you're curious because it's like, oh, I'm going to get to see this AC Mac guy. And it was, I think, a Scenic City event was the first time me and Norco saw him. And we were like, it was one of those things where kind of like I mentioned with Nolan Edward here. Like, we left the show and we're like, we are all in on the AC Mac thing. Like, that guy, he's got it. He had another great night. So the main show was really good. I was really curious about the PG-13 show. And the PG-13 show just absolutely 100% delivered for me. It was carried by Matt Sells and his, unique charisma, which is much beloved in Tyrone. And the only downside was with the socially distanced crowd, there was only 35, Matt Lana maniacs there, and we could have had 200 plus. So I had a great time though. Adam Priest, let's talk about him a little bit with the Action Future Showcase. I don't know if guys take this some sort of way. I hope they don't. But, when I do the little blurbs about the showcase, and I always say, hey, it's really cool that we get to see, talent we haven't heard of. I mean, I've maybe heard of some of these guys, but, like, I'm not familiar with them. And I'm not going to blow smoke and act like, I know about all these guys, because I just don't. I don't. So when I wrote the piece about Adam Priest, I hadn't seen him wrestle. So now I have seen him wrestle because he wrestled at the PG-13 Matt Sells show the other night. And I was really impressed. Kid, I'm sorry, I'm 42 years old. No offense when I say that. I have a habit of, I used to call Flacco kid just because I'm almost 20 years older than him. It's not meant any sort of way. So the guy has I think, really impressed me. Again, we get back to the match that, again, I don't want to steal his thunder. My son has been buzzing about the, and I'm going to butcher her name because I always thought it was said one way, and apparently it's not. Angelus Lane. I think I always thought it was Angelus Lane. And if you read the pieces about this show, I was really excited about just getting to see her because, unfortunately, she had to take some time off and stuff before I ever got to see her live. I always saw her on Twitter. People talking about her matches and the I broke Kevin Koo's neck and things like that. So she was incredible and totally lived up to the hype. Which is a big concern when you've been waiting to see somebody for years. She was absolutely incredible. And no offense to any other talent on that show, I just have to say, and I bet you my son echoes this, was that Nolan Edward match with her was the most violent action wrestling match I have ever seen, and it absolutely 100% delivered. We were just absolutely buzzing about it. My son was telling his grandfather, my father-in-law, all about it today. Now, my father-in-law doesn't even watch wrestling, so he was so excited about it. He's a 13-year-old over there telling, his papa, as he calls him, all about this. And anyways, it was just nuts. So other than that, got to see Effie for the first time, who also falls in that same category of, I mentioned like AC Mack. I'd heard about him for a long time before I saw him. Effie was the real deal. He totally delivered for me. So anyways, it's a really good show. I thought, hopefully you've read hopefully you haven't if you're worried about spoilers. Don't read the results and review yet, but read it maybe once you've watched it on IWTV. Promo code ACTION gives new subscribers 5 free days. Other than that, there was, let's see. Well, that's kind of in spoiler territory. I'd be interested to see what's next for Mac and Ison. Let's put it that way. Be interested to see what's next for both of those guys. That's it. Like I said, this was I'm sitting at home alone right now. Just thought it'd be a good time to try this. Like I said, hopefully, if these videos become a bigger, a more integral part of what we're doing on South Atlanta Wrestling, get some better equipment. I know this quality's not the best. I know I don't have a professional backdrop and all that kind of stuff, but I just want to kind of see how the video comes across. So I know what y'all may say about like the backdrop, things like that, but if you have some takes on just the content of this video, I'd love to hear it. So hit me up, SouthAtlantaWrestling.com, the unofficial archivist of Action Wrestling and a sponsor of Action Wrestling. Like I said, just look for that show, IWTV. I think you'll have a blast. We did. Being there live, being 2 of only 35 was a pretty cool situation. So anyways, if you have 10 minutes to watch this, please do. Let me know what you think. Like I said, especially on the content more so. I know that this needs to look better than it does, but the iPhone would shoot it a little clearer, but I would also shake because I don't have a tripod or anything for it yet. So I wanted to do something that was a little more still, although I keep banging the table, so still the same problem. So anyhow, just let me know, especially the content. Hope you enjoy it. Talk at you later.